Hello, it's Davey Mooney coming to you from the University of North Texas, where I run the jazz guitar program. Benedetto artist, Sunnyside Records artist. Ooh, National Sawdust is about to fall over. Got 4 records from Sunnyside, the new one's coming out June 9th, way back, y'all. 2 Mel Bay books, Personalizing Jazz Vocabulary, Into the Labyrinth, and Anatomy of Position Playing for Jazz Guitar. And we're out here in late February. It's the middle of spring 2023 semester. We've had a series of really great guest artists in the jazz area. Mike Moreno was here for the jazz lecture series. Roberto Sanchez Picasso was here last week. We did a concert and a clinic, and gosh, there's more folks coming. But I want to talk about something different right now. The Thelonious Monk tune, Ask Me Now, or as we say in New Orleans, Ask Me Now. Been playing this song for a lot of years. I actually performed it back at the Monk competition in 2005, jazz guitar competition. Wow, that was several years ago, 18 years, my goodness. And I remember I worked out a really intricate chord melody that I was trying to reference some aspects of the recording Solo Monk, which is a mid-60s solo piano recording that Thelonious Monk did. And gosh, I can't remember all the crazy stuff I put in that, but I was trying to get the 7th string involved. I actually recorded it on a record that I did with John Pizzarelli, a duo record. Shout out to John Pizzarelli. I'm gonna get that pasta ready, figured out, homemade pasta one of these days. But I digress. Yeah, we did a duo record, and I recorded the solo arrangement that I had done at the Monk competition, inspired by Solo Monk, and that was now I'm getting a little nostalgic. Yeah, 2005. I remember it was interesting because I did that competition 2 weeks after Hurricane Katrina, so I was kind of stranded. But luckily, I had my amp with me. I had my amp and my guitar, and we made our way to Washington D.C. So I got to use my own amp, my old Polytone, and yeah, I came in 3rd in that competition, and I couldn't have come in behind 2 nicer or better guitarists, Lage Lund and Miles Okazaki. But anyway, Ask Me Now, the great Thelonious Monk ballad that he recorded on those early recordings, Genius of Modern Music, I believe is the sort of album title. They had a long-playing record back then, I'm not sure, but there were some sessions in the very late 40s and very early 50s. And that one, I believe, is just trio. And then he recorded it on the record 5 by Monk by 5, which is a great record with Thad Jones and Charlie Rouse and Art Taylor and Sam Jones on bass. I believe no relation, right, to Thad Jones? It's Thad Jones, Elvin Jones, Hank Jones, Sam Jones. Anyway, that's a great record. That has that tune, Jackeen. It's a really interesting song. When I studied at the Thelonious Monk Institute, we used to do some gigs at Preservation Hall in New Orleans where we would play entire Monk albums as like our set. And I remember doing the set where we did 5 by Monk by 5. That was fun. And then, as I mentioned, there's the Solo Monk record from the mid-60s. And he may have recorded it again, but those are the 3 that I'm most familiar with. And I guess because this is not so much a standard tune, but I mean it's a modern jazz standard, there isn't as much variation, at least on those versions, except on the crazy chord melody that I did with John. Our duo record's called Last Train Home, by the way, and we did some Pavathini tunes and Don Grolnick tunes and some of my tunes. It was a fun project back in 2006. Came out in 2009 on Challenge Records. But anyway, so the song is really interesting. I mean, I think most people play G minor 7, C7, F sharp minor 7, B7, F minor 7, B flat 7, E minor 7, A7, E flat minor, A flat 7, B7, B flat 7 for the A section, E flat 7, D7, D flat major, E flat 7, E flat minor 7, A flat 7, and then the first thing you have like B7, B flat 7, A7, A flat 7, back to G minor, and that's just the first A. So there's a lot of chords in this song. And something that I realized back when I was doing that chord melody, and every time I listened to any version of this song from Thelonious Monk is, yeah, it's kind of G minor 7, C7, and the bass does play that, those notes, G, C, F sharp, B, F, B flat, E, A, on the 5 by Monk by 5 record. Probably on the original one too, you can't, the fidelity is kind of not as good. But Monk really specifically goes these guide tone lines, so it's kind of like, I messed it up a little bit, but he goes like, so sort of the 7 of G minor going to the 3rd of C, and that's like the lowest note he plays very prominently against that upper melody, and it's sort of, you know, we would call that maybe a guide tone line in jazz education, but it's very prominent, like it's really part of the tune, and so I always try to incorporate that when I'm playing the song, and I try to do that in the chord melody. I did all those years ago. But like I said, that's the first ending, so, or the first A. So G minor 7, C7, F sharp minor 7, B7, F minor 7, B flat 7, E minor 7, A7. Then you get a little couple beats on E flat minor, A flat 7. And sometimes he does tritone subs of those chords. B7, B flat 7, E flat 7. Occasionally this chord is D7. Sometimes it's A flat 7. D flat major, E flat 7, E flat minor 7, A flat 7, and then the second ending you just go to D flat, and sometimes he puts in kind of sharp 11. He doesn't do that on this song. There's several Monk things where when he gets to that chord he goes. So the first ending is B7, B flat 7, A7, A flat 7 back to G minor, and the second ending you just have a 2/5 to D flat. And that takes you to the bridge, which is E flat minor 7. It's a 2/5 in D flat. And the first time the A flat 7 is kind of less dissonant. You get going to D flat in the second time. And it's either A flat 7 kind of sharp 5, sharp 9, or maybe it's D9, you know, a tritone sub. I feel like certain versions have that variation of maybe he's playing a tritone sub of the dominant, and maybe he's playing just the 2/5. And then the bridge is interesting because the second half of the bridge you hang on chords. I mean, the harmonic rhythm of this tune is so you usually get like a chord every beat or a chord every 2 beats, but then the second part of the bridge you kind of hang on E flat 7 for a whole bar, actually 2 bars, and then A flat 7 and then G flat 7. Is that 2 bars? I should check this before I do these videos. I always forget, like, yes, I was right. 2 bars of E flat 7. So 2 bars of E flat 7, then a bar of A flat 7, and a bar of G flat 7. And sometimes those get 2/5'd, made into 2/5s, like B flat minor, E flat 7, E flat minor, A flat 7, D flat minor, G flat 7. But I was listening back, and I think it's pretty, the bass players pretty clearly play just like E flat for 2 bars. And it's a nice change. I think it's also kind of cool how at the end of that bridge, like it's G flat 7, and he goes, that takes you back to the G minor. Kind of fun, like a half step below. Rowdy out in the hall, and then back to that. Which reminds me of Body and Soul there. Right, the melody. I'll tell you I mean it. So the last last day is like the second day, just resolves a D flat, and he just hangs out on that D flat. No real turnaround back to the G minor. But yeah, really cool song. There's some nice things on the 5 by Monk by 5 record, where you have 2 horns. That's kind of fun, like how on reminds me a little bit of Brilliant Corners, you know, where you have Sonny Rollins and is it James Spalding on that record? I'm trying to remember now. God, who else on Brilliant Corners? But I remember, like, I teach Panonica in my improv class, and I really like to look at the horn arrangement, like the way they play the melody, when they play unison, when they split up. And I don't have every single thing figured out, the splits that they do on Ask Me Now on 5 by Monk by 5, but I know in the first ending it's kind of cool because they're doing the, you know, and then they go. It's nice. Thad Jones does this melody, so it's B7. B7, sharp 11, he plays that note like F, then B flat 7, he plays B flat, and then here he plays E flat to A flat, and Charlie Rouse goes A flat, G flat. It's just a nice sound, you know, kind of contrary motion going on. Oh, I remember on, I think on the, gosh, is this on Solo Monk or the original one on Blue Note? This melody in the first ending is a little different. It's not that. It's I think it's this. I listened to it a couple of minutes ago, but you know, my brain is full of notes and chords, and so it's a slightly different melody in the first ending. And another thing that I thought was kind of cool is, you know, for playing on this tune, a lot of people, I think including like the Thad Jones solo to a certain extent, you know, when I play on it, and you know, modern versions, it's nice because you just get the chromatic 2/5, so it's nice. It's somewhat, you know, easy. We're just used to that in jazz, having chromatic 2/5s like that. I think I skipped one. What's it called? Stablemates, like in the bridge of Stablemates, we have those chromatic 2/5s in the second half. It's interesting on 5 by Monk by 5 how Charlie Rouse's solo, the first solo that happens on the tune, you know, the chords are G minor, C7, you know, those chromatic 2/5s we talked about, and Charlie Rouse just goes, there's kind of a double time feel underneath, but he just goes, this little half whole diminished pattern that I kind of associate with Coltrane, but I guess this is the same year, 1959, as I mean, I associate it with something Train plays on Moment's Notice, but clearly it was in the water, so to speak, part of the idiom, to use a term from Benjamin Given. But what's interesting is he plays that, even though the chords are moving down with these chromatic 2/5s, he kind of just sounds like he's just playing C7. And then when the B7 comes, he's kind of stopped his idea, but he doesn't play anything specific on that chord. And then when the E minor 7 to A7 and E flat minor to A flat 7, he goes down here and goes, kind of plays the same idea on A flat, what I associate with you know, A flat half whole diminished. He's almost playing C half whole diminished for a bar, and then A flat half whole diminished for a bar, and somehow that idea is so strong that he kind of gets away with it. It doesn't sound like wrong at all. And then, but check out how he's able to get away with that. And it's different. Then he goes on and plays other things, but it's very different than the way Thad Jones approaches the song. And then Monk, you know, he kind of just plays off the melody, which is, you know, I didn't really talk about that, but basically it's just like major triads, like a C triad. As the chords go G minor 7, C7, the melodies, and when it goes to F sharp minor, it just plays B, B, and then on F minor it's a B flat major triad, and then A, A. So I guess he's thinking, he just played that, he's like, well, And then I don't know why he gets to A flat. Anyway, it's one of those cool moments in in jazz history where you think you know like what you're supposed to play over those chords, and then you hear somebody like, oh, okay, totally different approach. But anyway, I love this song, y'all. I play it all the time. Been working on it with some students, and I'm going to play a little bit on this form, and I hope you enjoy it.